Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And BlueDragonFive.
And welcome to the last word on The Last Jedi here on Talking Mr. Banks. That's right, Dragon. It is our overdue spoiler cast for Star Wars The Last Jedi. Arguably the most divisive Star Wars film since since Blinkett's seminal most disappointing thing since my son, Phantom Menace. Oh man, so Dragon, you and I, we're both kind of on the on the spectrum where this is your fourth favorite movie of the year. This is my third favorite movie of the year. So folks, I'm sorry to say you're not gonna I wish we had someone in the room here that I wish we had one person in the lineup that didn't really like this movie as much, just to get, a more broad spectrum of opinion here. But I digress, Dragon. Essentially, you want to lay out how we're going to approach this, Dragon. You want to give us the skimmy on this, because we thought long and hard about how we were going to make this a little different than other Star Wars spoiler cast, in terms of structure.
Basically, the holidays get in the way.
So whoa. Hold on, Dragon. Hold on. You're coming in really staticky there. I tell you what, Dragon, you go out, come back in. I'm going to riff about evil Luke Skywalker, okay? All right. Well, you see, folks, this is evil Luke Skywalker here. And the second that I saw
Hello? 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 Sorry. One second, folks. Is the Force strong with you there, buddy? You there? Hello? Oh, sorry, folks. Anyway, what I was getting at, what I was saying, specifically is that folks, the holidays, hello, yep, hello.
Keep going.
Oh, all right. Yeah, folks. You see, the holidays get in the way sometimes. So of course, we wanted to talk about Star Wars instantly when it came out, but there's a lot of stuff gets in the way, and what we want to do here, you've heard everyone kind of dissect Star Wars 8 ways to Sunday. So the way we thought we'd break it down quite simply is this.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry, man. I didn't mean to yell. It's just, Jesus Christ, all those technical issues all at once. Okay, my bad. Keep going.
Anyway, so folks, the way we thought we'd address, because you guys have heard it dissected 8 ways to Sunday, quite simply, we're going to give you what you want. We're going to treat you like adults. We're going to give you what you want. You want to hear our reaction to things. Also, kind of address kind of that. There's kind of like a dour thing going on about the movie. Now, a lot of people are kind of the divisiveness of things. We're going to basically get you the main plot points you want to hear from in chronological order. So the idea is you could probably skip forward and generally basically go vaguely chronological here and just kind of give you guys what you want to get a pulse, get a reaction, how we're feeling about it, kind of get the perspectives going around here, and just kind of start from the beginning, get to the end. But again, not take all day, because you guys ideally have seen the movie, because there will be spoilers. We'll get that out of the way right now. There are going to be a lot of spoilers throughout this thing, so hopefully you've seen the movie, you know what happened, you know the recap. We're just going to give you guys what you want. All right.
Kylo Ren kills Snoke.
I was going to build to that, but sure, yeah.
I'm just saying, folks.
Also,
we're in the deep end of the water when it comes to spoilers here.
Force Ghosts can wield lightning.
All right. Oh boy, Dragon. Well, I think Force Ghosts are also kind of messing with our interference and our internet here. I don't know. Hopefully things will be okay moving forward. Are you there still?
I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you. I'm just checking. Okay.
All right. Okay. Anyway, so
So let's start with the big opening space battle.
Yes. All right, let's start with the resistance evacuation. So first and foremost, it's something that people like to kind of talk about this movie is that we kind of start right where the movie left off, right where Force Awakens left off, which is kind of new for a Star Wars movie.
Here's the thing, Dragon. The only thing I don't mind about this is I was kind of dreading that it was going to literally start with the same shot with Rey and Luke at the at Scaling Michael Island. And I'm glad that it builds to that at least. And I don't think it's like, this is something of a criticism. I'd like to think that the Resistance stuff is taking place about a week after when we saw the Resistance in The Force Awakens, whereas the Rey stuff is taking place concurrently. So it's a little bit in the future for the Resistance storyline at the very least. From where we last saw characters like Poe and Leia.
Well, sure, but even if it's just an hour or so away, I was going to this movie kind of wondering how they were going to address it, and they kind of addressed it the best I think they could have, because we're not starting directly with the handoff, just kind of showing what the other side's been doing in the meantime, getting to linking up where the other moment left off. So they handled that the best they could, I felt.
I heard a theory that I kind of attached to. I didn't think it was going to happen, but I was like, ooh, that'd be cool if it did. Where essentially the movie would start with a cold open, kind of give the mysterious 5-word cryptic Mark Hamill answer to the Luke Skywalker lightsaber handoff that we wanted, that we'll get to, how the movie actually handles it. And then the camera kind of pans up into the starry sky we see a long time ago in a galaxy far, far, far away, and then we get the Star Wars title crawl. Yeah. I don't know. What do you think, Dragon? Do you think a Star Wars movie would ever do a cold open like that?
Honestly, I don't. Look, if it's ever going to happen, it might. Tiki, you might get that with with one of the anthology movies. You'll never get that in a main Star Wars film. I'll bet you that.
A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, but no title crawl. Oh, well.
Right. See, I remember that is a possibility. But the last thing on the crawl that I will say is, I think the crawl is just it's an unfortunate casualty, and that is kind of getting mocked with this movie. Because, come on, guys.
I gotta say, Dragon, I actually really I like the crawl just for how urgent it is.
Yeah, sure.
I think the crawl is very self-contained, much like the actual movie itself, and I think it's very fitting.
That doesn't bug me one iota, to be quite honest. So, point one there. Okay, let's talk about the Dreadnought attack. Man, this was a cool way to open the movie, I thought.
Yeah, and let's not bury the lead on the big kind of story implication here, is that sacrifices are made.
Yeah, no, I'll say this. I kind of alluded to this when we did the original non-spoilery reaction. What I really love is that this kind of captures one of the great qualities of Rogue One, for example. It's kind of captured that quality of there's the casualties of war, and just kind of it all boils down to one person quality, like Paige, Rose's sister. How she the bomber sacrifice that she has there. Just seeing that moment there it felt tonally what Rogue One was trying to do throughout the film, but it really just did in the third act. But this it just feels like we're kind of rubbing off kind of the really great qualities of Star Wars in this movie in various capacities, and just showing that kind of it always. It makes us care about our Resistance guys even more so when we have these little moments there to show everybody. It kind of comes down to one man a lot of the time.
It's funny, Dragon. I'm glad you mentioned Rogue One, because Rogue One, I feel like the big problem was outside of K2SO. The characters really weren't there. And honestly, this movie, I feel like the biggest thing I can say about this movie is that inherently comparing it to Rogue One, it even makes me appreciate Force Awakens even more for the cast of characters. I really think with the new trilogy, they just round out every character so well, even background characters, like you said, the bomber that sacrifices herself is going to lead into a new character that we're going to, presumably follow into episode 9, and it all links up, it's all a very intricate kind of, tapestry of different characters in this movie.
Yeah, it was just one. We could spend all day going through. Obviously, we're not going to do that, but it was a gutsy assault with realistic consequence, and I really appreciated that. What I also love, just the action flourishes, when Poe. We got to really. Poe was used very sparingly in Force Awakens, of course, did we kill Poe off moment in this case. Here Poe got to really shine in that opening. I thought that was really good for his character, but also cast that shadow over him in the movie. That he was kind of a rocket jockey in the beginning of this, and that did it landed him in hot water and got a lot of good pilots. A lot of good pilots killed, but still, he has some really sweet moves. We see the guy really knows what he's doing, though. It's kind of
and cool. I love the dynamic that he has with Leia in this movie, and I really wish we would have seen more of that in The Force Awakens.
Cool to see him and BB-8 in action, kind of like how Luke and R2 were in action, and then the X-wings. I mean, that was cool. So that little move when the control panel's broken, BB-8 has to fix it. Like, whoa, just going to the side there. Really, it shows classic Star Wars in a more critical light, and I think that's smart. So I think that was that whole Dreadnought thing. I thought was a really great way to open the movie.
Dragon, I'm sorry, I'm kind of looking through our categories. Do you want to address just the whole chase element of the Resistance storyline before we go any further?
Oh yeah, sure. I guess we could address that. I was going to say that.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Where do you want to talk about it here?
Oh, when we get to the big attack scene.
Okay. Sure. All right.
So we'll just put a pin in that for now. Anyway, we're getting there real soon, folks. Anyway, so okay, let's talk about one of my probably favorite elements of a lot of people, not only myself. Luke Skywalker, played by the wonderful, talented Mark Hamill.
Oh, yes.
Well, let's start where the movie was dying to start. The lightsaber.
No, I listened to Kevin Smith's podcast today about this, and I love how he refers to it lovingly as a "fuck you, JJ" moment. But,
well, also, he graduated that to an "F you, Force Awakens" because he realized I don't want to just keep saying that.
But I like how
you love that.
I like how he addresses, it's not personal. It's not personal, and I don't know. Here's the thing, Dragon. I feel like just addressing the fan criticism, first of all, it drives me crazy. One of the things that drives me crazy with the fan criticism with Luke is how they basically kind of took a Mark Hamill quote about how it wasn't the vision of Luke Skywalker that Mark Hamill had, and use that as like, see, it's terrible. It's wrong. It should never exist, and you should feel bad for liking it.
Well, that's just Mark Hamill being and I've seen this 100 times in Fat Man Bad when he's been on there, and so other things Mark Hamill's done in interviews. He's just a really open, honest guy, and he'll tell you that's how he felt initially already. He didn't go through the whole experience of and then of course it goes through. Just saying, that originally wasn't the Luke I set out. The whole it's time for the Jedi, and it's really dour. And then of course as he's just listing it off. That's how I originally felt about it.
So yeah, Dragon, frankly, I don't know. I have harsh words to say about anyone who, look, if you don't like the movie as a whole, if you don't think the movie as a whole works for you, that's fine, because there are certain elements of the movie that you and I both have problems with. Everyone kind of has problems with. So it's just like, when you get into the whole, kind of fundamentally, well, that's not how I wanted Luke Skywalker to be. It's like, you know what, Dragon, I'm going to sound harsh here, but you're not a real Star Wars fan if you think like that, honestly. Because the evolution of Luke Skywalker's character and just the way it wraps up, which of course we'll build up to, is just Dragon, I think this is something I've said it before. I really think that the polarizing opinions of this movie and just how striking it is, just how fundamental of a shift it is in the storytelling from what we're used to, I think it's going to age. I'm not saying it's as good of a movie as Empire, but I'm saying it's going to age in a similar way to Empire, where I feel like once the initial shock of everything is kind of worn off and this movie's more kind of faded into public consciousness, I feel like it's going to marinate, and you know what I mean? The public outlook on it is going to grow.
Right.
All right.
So I feel, the lightsaber bit in itself, the whole... Luke's handle lightsaber. Of course, his first line is he just tosses it nonchalantly. He says, go away."
Go away.
Basically, we start with grumpy old Luke, then we get the good.
Well, evil Luke Skywalker here, and JJ just set up this whole reveal, and I was like, "Screw you, JJ! I'm gonna do what I want. I'm going to run this set." All right, I'm sorry, Jordan. Go.
Unless you have the hand that came with this lightsaber, I don't care.
Exactly.
Anyway, but yeah, the lightsaber. Honestly, I kind of agree. I read somewhere, where reason behind this from Rian Johnson. I got to agree with him. Basically, it was a clever answer to like what could he possibly say? I mean, what else is he going to possibly say to it aside from like?
I feel like the answer to that question on an intellectual level is there's nothing he can say.
And I think that's the best way to go down. I never thought of it that way until I read that. I was like, yeah, I gotta admit that is the perfect response when you think about it. Because again, it's one subverting whatever your response could be to that. And again, a lightsaber. If you have a Luke that's just very kind of anti-Jedi right now, is kind of very much kind of put it behind him. He's not going to care about that thing. It's just tossing it is kind of a good visual way of just kind of showing, yeah, he really has put it behind him. Quite literally, just tossing it aside.
Dragon. The one thing I kind of wish they would have addressed is I kind of wish that he would have been like, wait, where did you get this thing? The last time I saw it, it fell down that shaft in Cloud City.
I understand why that's such a sticking point there. When it gets the idea, Maz Kanata, she went to Cloud City and she got it somewhere. How hard is that?
All right. Anyways.
Anyway, so just talking about grumpy old Luke in general, along with the lightsaber thing, as you kind of started with, I'll just kind of pick it up a little, pick up from that. Yeah, we have a disenfranchised, grumpy Luke. He's what I love so much in the writing on Luke in this movie is that he's providing a smart critique of the Jedi way, which honestly I believe retroactively really solves at least it kind of improves the kind of feelings people had on the prequels. Because it's like Luke Skywalker himself saying,
this movie is absolutely just like, okay, I'm going to Dragon. One of my favorite lines of this movie that kind of sums up everything I love about it is when Luke ultimately does decide to train Rey, he's going to be, he says like 3 lessons, and then you'll know why the Jedi have to end.
Oh, yeah, that has to be a tongue-in-cheek reference. Come on.
No, but I'm serious though. Like watching the movie for the first time and Luke says that, I'm like, oh, okay, this is going to be big. They're really building this, and they do. I think by the end of the movie, with everything that happens, which we'll go over, they really do justify like, fundamentally, folks, this is kind of like, I feel like the time of Jedi and Sith is over in a big bad way at the end of this movie.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I love that fundamentally, at the end of the day, what we have with Luke, and this is so great in kind of the construction of kind of the Luke we see now, is that, he's still a farm boy he's a farm boy who's been to a galaxy far, far away. He's got that in his background. We've seen that. Deep down, he's still... What?
He's pretty much Uncle Owen.
Yeah, he kind of is. Yeah, you're right. Because even Uncle Owen, he had experience, with Anakin and the Vader side of that. So I could definitely see some Uncle Owen in him.
Because he's like dealing with the natives on this, remote planet. He's farming for the blue milk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense that he's making a lot of sense in the open. Again, even when grumpy old Luke, he's making a whole lot of sense. He makes that joke, and I love how that joke pays off. That what do you expect me to do? I take on the First Order with the lightsaber.
Mm-hmm.
It's great, and it's just Luke being practical, and again calling the Jedi out. Yeah, it was a flawed order. Did you not see?
Right.
But I mean, again, they just had me instantly with just the logic behind this, Luke, and I'm getting why he would be anti-Jedi, and he's had years and years, like at least roughly 30 years to ruminate on this, and just however many years since what happened with Kylo went down, it makes a lot of sense.
All right, you want to talk about the R2 scene?
Oh yeah, this is hands down my favorite scene in the movie.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you one bit, Dragon.
You gotta remember, because going.
Biff talked about it, by the way.
Yeah, it's just went into this movie. And I know how great Mark Hamill is. I always love when Mark Hamill get into like a live action role. You don't see it that often. It's unjust that we don't see him in enough live action movies. But I'm hearing he's doing great stuff as well as like Brigsby Bear and everything. So I'm sure. Anytime he shows up, it's always a play. He's actually in the first Kingsman movie in a little cameo. It's really nice. So this by the time we get to this, and he's back in the picture, we literally build, as Mark Hamill likes to joke, it was like the most elaborate entrance into a movie ever in Force Awakens. We finally, we have this morning, and grumpy old Luke is already winning me over. He's like, okay, this is cool. This is, it's moving forward, Luke. It's all good. But then we just, this moment here with R2, he's on the Millennium Falcon, which is great. And, he's like the little dice and everything. But then there's that moment with R2, and it's like, hey, remember, folks, R2
sneaks into the Millennium Falcon in the middle of the night, by the way.
Yeah, it's great, because, it's a private thing.
He doesn't want Rey to know. He doesn't want Chewie to know.
Just like a little private moment for him. Just a little, because he knows he lost Han. He's informed that he lost Han. It's just like he just needs to be there. That's why he's grabbing the dice. Which, by the way, of course, the story behind those dice, and I'm really hoping it's true. I think it's mostly it's a fan thing, but it would be the best thing ever if it's true. Those dice are like that's part of like a kind of a space card game that won him the Millennium Falcon against Lando. that's the fan theory. I'm down for that fan theory so much. Regardless,
Dragon, I'm sure we're going to see those dice in Solo, a Star Wars story.
I know, and they better. I understand with the dice being in focus here, they gotta put the origin again. I want to see him win that Millennium Falcon in that movie. Darn it. Regardless, what was I getting at? Oh yes. So oh my god, it's just this moment here where he bumps into R2 with his old friend R2 again. We see these pilots, they forge such a relationship with the droids. They go with. And I heard another fan theory, which I really like the idea that the droids kind of allow you to go into light speed. You having a droid on board kind of allows you to go into light speed. That basically means the droids are absolutely a necessity for pilots. And there might be some holes in that, but I like it just as a sentiment. Like, yeah, that's kind of cool. Like pilot and droid always kind of simpatico go hand in hand. Girls. It's just that moment where he kind of snaps back from the grumpy old Luke, and it's like, okay, that's good. And he snaps back into basically a moment that says Hamill's still got him. He snaps back into that.
Like we see 20-year-old Hamill.
Yes, you see 19-year-old Mark Hamill. You get 19-year-old Mark Hamill from 1977. He just
R2,
and that just communicated to me in that moment. Just got so excited. It just snapped back, and he sounds just like I was taken. Nostalgic, fantastic moment. Just think, Hamill's still got it. He knows exactly what he's doing here. He can be grumpy, but at the same time, he's keeping that under the surface. He's keeping the farm boy from '77 underneath there. And in itself, it's just such a sweet scene of R2 convincing him and kind of cursing him out in R2. And it was a
cheap shot.
Yes, and the cheap shot in question, of course, is using Leia. And again, this is a perfect scene. He's using the hologram of Leia asking Obi-Wan Kenobi for help. That's a low blow. It's a cheap shot. It's oh my god, it's just such a perfect scene, and that's the only thing that would get Luke onto like reluctantly training Rey. Speaking of training Rey.
Yeah, Dragon, I'm curious, how much do you want to go into? Because I know we have a segment, with Kylo Ren too.
Sure. So. Well, mainly just the beginning of the training. And
okay.
The beginning of the training.
Well, of course, the thing that I love from the trailer that's expanded on, is the whole. I've only seen this power one time before. It didn't scare me enough then. It does now.
I mean, I love the dimension there where it's he sees her kind of. Is this line's not in the trailer? It's really haunting to me. I just love the way Hamill delivers it. Where he says, "You didn't even hesitate. You just jumped right in. You went right for the dark side." I love his remarking on that. But for me, though, I love that we have some natural. One, we just saw kind of grumpy old doing some kind of cool, eclectic, kind of hermit-like things on the island. But here we have a great moment of just seeing. He is. Whether he'll admit it or not, he does have some Yoda in him, and he's having some fun with being a mentor here. It's just this bit where she reaches out. It's a cute little silly bit. She reaches out because when he says the reach out, because he means you internally reach out. You reach out. He just says, what does the Force look like? What is the Force? Aside from moving rocks, that's all she says. Basically, all the viewing audience of Star Wars is seeing. I love how we reinvent that show. What the Force actually can do here.
Daisy really is just adorable in this moment, by the way.
Yes, and these are the scenes that show, Daisy really marking out. They do a lot of interviews and stuff, and they also have chemistry, and they're so pals and palling around here. We get like a little bit of that here. It's like Daniel's like a little leaf, like a long blade of grass or something. I was just feeling like, oh, I feel it. Open her eyes. It's silly. It's silly, cute. It's like, okay, that's Luke that's the old man having fun with her. That's adorable. Anyway, so we had some fun stuff with training. Of course, we got the dour moments while training. You're realizing, oh my god, she's got a lot of potential to go to the dark side. And I rested on this once. I'm not in for this again. Forget the 3 lessons. This is gonna go south.
And that's the thing, Dragon. I do love how he kind of abandons the training halfway through the movie because of that.
Yeah.
All right. So let's
speaking of past peoples.
Okay, so I guess I don't know. The thing that bugs me about the Kylo Ren thing with with him firing in at Leia is I just really wish it wasn't spoiled in the trailer.
I'm with you there, but at the same time, Tiki, when we do get in the movie, though,
don't get me wrong. I know it was a misdirect from what we actually do get in the movie. I know that. It's like just that setup was there. You know, like I knew that setup was coming.
Yeah, I guess you're right on that. Also, just to give context to the thing we were kind of alluding to earlier. So yeah, the whole basically the position the Resistance faces against the First Order in the movie, and basically like kind of the low speed space chase.
Right.
So I mean, yeah, I've heard maybe some plot holes kind of point out there. I can't remember the logistics of it, but let's just say, in itself, on the first time I watched the movie, I still kind of feel so. I think it's kind of a clever plot of like, hey, we're going to make them run out of fuel in space, and then we're going to have them. And I like that. Basically, thinking, why don't they just kind of speed ahead? I don't know. I feel like light speed is not an exact science. Maybe they can't just get that far away. But then again, they can move fast. Well, they can't. I figure they can't move faster than the ship unless they do light speed, and that's going to take them far other way. Regardless, just the idea of like baiting them into something, I really like that. So I like kind of I like the position the Resistance kind of faces against the First Order. It kind of reminds me of that Empire Strikes Back thing of basically there's a lot of chase in the Empire Strikes Back with the Empire.
Yeah, what is the Empire Strikes Back with Han and Leia? If not for a chase scene.
Exactly. So it kind of takes me back.
Even when they get to Cloud City, they're still being chased.
I mean, it shows that the Resistance is in trouble following Force Awakens. It's kind of. I mean, that's kind of what the whole beginning of this movie is kind of based upon. It's like we keep showing the consequence of the first movie within this movie. That's kind of nice.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. So they're not firing. Specifically, what I really want to highlight with that real quick is that I love that. This is his big moment. This is the big moment that shows that Ben's not beyond saving, but at the same time, I love how it's done visual. Is that he's not beyond saving, but it doesn't excuse anything he's done because the fact that he doesn't fire on her, and she can sense that he's in the air because again the force sensitive thing they are definitely building in there with that moment, which is of course going to pay off momentarily.
Yes.
But regardless, I love the fact that he doesn't fire on her yet. Other members of the First Order take the shot he didn't take, and that means she's still a goner within that scene. So I love that he's still haunted by the fact that again it still befalls his head that she, to his knowledge, is kind of dead in that moment because of him, not directly because of him. But I kind of showing that again, not beyond saving, but at the same time there is consequence to that. So a lot of consequence throughout this film. Anyway, so the big moment with Leia.
Yeah, okay, Dragon, just short and sweet, man. When I first saw this in the theater, I was kind of wowed by it, before I knew anyone else's opinion on it, just because of just the idea of like Leia using the Force in such a powerful way on a subconscious level, man. I really bought into that on kind of like a pseudo spiritual level.
Yeah, in the moment, it's a cool subversion. Yet, again, after happens, it does raise some questions like, if we say that, it's a cool subversion, but we're all expecting, oh man, it's going to be the tragic, death of Princess Leia that coincide with, the passing of Carrie Fisher. Yet, it kind of makes a question like, oh man, they kind of that was their big opportunity to kind of write her out in a big way. But now she's just kind of there, and we're gonna roll with that. So I guess okay, we'll see what happens.
You know what, Dragon? I kind of respect the film for giving us all of Carrie Fisher's performance. I think we should be applauding that.
Oh yeah, that's cool. I'm just saying in terms of like the right thing. It's an eyebrow. It's like wow, that's I didn't expect that.
And I will say the second time I watched the movie, yeah, visually I could see what people are saying, like, oh, it's like Mary Poppins in space, it's like Guardians of the Galaxy all over again.
Well, it's funny, speaking of Guardians of the Galaxy, here's the thing, while it was unfolding, I was while I was impressed by the subversion of what I was questioning, and yeah, she's surviving in space. I always think of like the Guardians logic is that you can, I heard James Gunn did research on this is why I keep going back to the Guardians things, that theoretically you can survive like at least a minute in space before you freeze to death. Like freeze to death before you run out of oxygen, that sort of thing. So basically, you could survive very briefly in space, and I kind of umbrellaed on that logic. Okay, that's how she survives. People are looking at it; it's kind of strange, kind of out of left field, and then of course, the one that she survives. Secondly, that she force propels herself, and it's a cool moment. Her force propelling herself, and then people are questioning logistics of how can she use the force that well. I just figured this very simply is. I think it's like a survival mode she didn't know she was capable of. We knew she was force sensitive; she can sense things, and again, I hear like there's that expanded universe stuff like you can like force project a bubble to save yourself in that situation. Regardless, the point is just it's like an instinctual survival mode she didn't know she was capable of. And that's how she and she is in rough shape afterwards. I'm completely fine with it.
Okay, so let's transition into the one storyline in the movie that literally everyone on the internet that I've heard talk about it has had problems with.
Yeah, so let's talk about. We got to break this down here. So let's just overall, let's talk about Finn and Rose.
So, Dragon, I would say their dynamic as a whole, it's not bad. It's not bad. It's not great. And there are things that annoy me about it. But overall, I like the two actors. I will say that much. John Boyega, and I'm sorry, I don't know the actress who plays Rose off the top of my head.
Nor do I.
Sorry. But she does a good job. I think they both do a good job. I like the look of Rose Dragon. I will say that much. I like the character design, the costume on her. How she's not like a. I like how she's just kind of like an average looking person. She's kind of like she's kind of like a low man on the resistance totem pole. Yeah, I like that whole idea. I like kind of like the hero versus the hero meeting the everyman.
Well, here's what I love about that. I love, and this is the main reason I really like these two kind of paired together. I love that they, they both have maintenance jobs. And he was the custodian, she was she's in maintenance. Very low level tiers of their respective thing. And of course, unbeknownst to them, as they learn in the movie, they have a lot of correlation within the First Order. Of course, the former stormtrooper from the First Order and the girl who was kind of, she works as part of, she came from, I don't know, migrants, like if kind of like a migrant thing is appropriate, but I don't know, basically he was enslaved on a planet that manufactures weapons for the First Order. Point is like subservient to the First Order in some variety. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so I like they come from like hive mind / worker backgrounds. They both come from like kind of a unionized kind of background of some kind, and just based on that, I mean, I love just that pairing, that they're similar in each other. And again, they're both Finn for me is I've always loved Finn. Finn was my real in for the for Star Wars coming back after all. I just love the idea of a redemption story for a stormtrooper. That always sold me, and I love how we began Force Awakens with it. So Finn I'm always interested in Finn, honestly. Yeah, and I thought he delivered. Now, there's the kind of bridge into where, of course, things kind of start to go off the tracks here. And the romance, look, the romance is kind of thrown at you. It's but nothing's concrete. You never know what's going to happen. I don't know. It's just we'll see what happens.
To tell you the truth, I think this movie kind of builds up Finn and Rey more than anything else.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, again, we have some plate spinning for who can get together with who, and that there's especially with a movie that's kind of the equivalent to an empire. For like when your trilogy, your second out of the trilogy always has that empire, kind of shadow the befallen. And you look at it in that context. Of course, there's going to be a lot of like people trying to connect romantic dots in the second one. So.
Well, let's just hope that it isn't revealed that that Finn and Rose are brother and sister in episode 9. God.
Anyway, so Finn and Rose again, character-wise, they're fun. They got some good stuff going for them. But let's see what story we set these two kids upon.
Hey guys, we have space horses.
Yeah. Who wants to gamble? Yeah, we go to...
hey, look, there's the guy from The Leftovers. Hey, Justin Thoreau. Oh, you're not in this movie? Okay, that's fine.
Right. So we go to Canto Blight, otherwise known as the Casino Planet.
Well, evil Luke Skywalker likes to frequent the Casino Planet from time to time. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Lando, where are you? Put me Lodge. Anyway, what's funny to you? I don't know if you heard about this. I heard Lando it's a rumor, Behrman, it's a rumor that we're going to consider having Canto Blight run by Lando Calrissian.
Dragon, I honestly think that if that was the case, it would have solved everything.
I would agree with you there. I heard like it was something like it wasn't that they couldn't get Bill D. Wins. It's something didn't jive within this. They were kind of scared off by. I don't know. They thought maybe Billy Owens was like too cuddly and stuff. They like too nice a guy, and I don't know why. There was a real ridiculous reason they didn't use him, but it was something like that. Anyway.
Did somebody say original trilogy character?
Yeah, I'm gonna hope they bring him in by 9. They gotta bring him in by 9. Come on.
Every movie Rey has a father figure. Anyway. It's time to bring in the cool dad.
That would be neat. Anyway, so with Canterbury itself, so Canterbury honestly what it reads to me as it's, and I mean this in a complimentary way. We'll make it clear. This feels like a better version of what the prequels attempted to do with their themed planets. Because of course everyone jumps to this by saying, "Oh, it's like the '50s diner planet that Obi-Wan met his chicken mustached buddy at."
Yeah, well, it's still I don't know, Dragon. I like the idea behind it, of course. I think everyone does. You know, the whole idea of like the the war profiteers, the people who sell the actual weapons used in the war.
Yeah. I mean, I like that too. And here's the thing: just with Kingdom Blade, design-wise, I think it's great. And I love kind of the concept for kind of the scum and villainy in a different capacity. It's kind of a reinvention of the whole scum and villainy we have with a cantina. In this case, again, it's kind of the war profiteers looting the lap of luxury sort of thing. That's all cool. I love. Again, I like Kingdom Blade very much so. But here's the problem. The problem with Canto Blight is that again, the story of Canto, it's all fine.
Dragon, your audio is kind of breaking up again.
What about now?
Now it sounds fine. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Anyway, what I'm saying with Canto Blight, I don't think is bad. Again, I like the Canto Blight story. The problem is it doesn't really belong in the movie. We don't need it in the movie whatsoever.
And I honestly think I like everything about it except for the space horses.
We do go long on the space horses, we do. But again, I'm saying, in a different movie, honestly, almost as a short of like, hey, here's what Finn and Rose were doing during the movie.
Right.
I think, it'd be home and it'd be doing a lot better because this thing really has no bearing on the movie, technically. It's just kind of there on the side, it's kind of interrupting.
It's a side mission.
Yeah, and it's not really it's not really a relevant side mission. It's just like, I mean, yeah, we do tie in with the big kind of three-way moment that builds up to our next thing we're going to be getting to, but it's not really much there.
Right, you want to talk about DJ?
Yeah, sure, real quick. Just on the whole, DJ's Benicio del Toro's character. He plays the thief. Otherwise,
honestly, he might be one of my least favorite Star Wars characters. As much as I love this movie,
I'm gonna say this. I thought it was fun. I thought it was kind of fun.
I don't know what the hell they were going for with this character. I really don't.
I think I know what they're going for. I'm not saying it's not this by no means the same thing. I don't think it's successful as they want it to be. I think they're going for a Lando type here.
Oh, well, they failed if that's what they're going for. I mean, yeah, I guess you're right because he does betray them and everything. But oh man, I don't know. To me, Dragon, he is kind of like I said, if it was Lando in this position, I don't know. Maybe that's the thing. I can't see Lando betraying them.
It was a fun reveal that, okay, there's Benicio del Toro. That's kind of the moment I had in the movie. Like, oh, there he is. I mean, here's what I liked about him. I liked the rapport he had with BB. I liked he kind of struck up a friendship with BB-8 before anyone else.
I'll agree to that. I'll agree. That was fun.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, look, I would like more to get a good sense of him. I'd like to get more stuff to kind of get more of a fleshed out opinion on the guy. I thought it was okay. It didn't really wow me. But
I really didn't like the stutter. I thought that was a really weird choice.
I don't know. We'll see. I see potential in this guy, but again, I don't have like a lot of expectations attached. It's like, hey, it'd be fun to see that guy again. Maybe do something with him. Honestly, I could see a good rapport between him and Finn, perhaps, because again, he kind of opened his eyes to the profiteering. I know the profiteering; it's not like a big shocker. I get that, but it was just the concept in itself is still interesting to explore. Whether it's it was treated too much like a reveal. I'll admit. Anyways, there's DJ shows potential, but not a lot in this movie.
All right, so let's talk about Laura Dern.
Laura Dern. Yeah, so, yay, Laura Dern in a Star Wars movie.
I think this is the point where you and I are the most divided on.
Look, again, I'm saying, nothing against Laura Dern. I mean, it's like, hey, she showed up in a movie that's great. She was okay, but I think her writing was again. Every time I re-examine this, it's like her writing. I tried to make peace with this as best I could.
Okay, Dragon. Here's the thing. It's not that she's trying to keep it a secret from everyone. It's just specifically she knows that Poe is reckless.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, why does it just tell him to pacify him? Just say, okay, we got a plan here. Here's what the plan is. No more questions. I get that. Look, I get she's trying to teach him a lesson. I get that. I'm sorry, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
I just want to make sure. Yeah, I mean, I get that she's trying to teach him a lesson, all right, and I get that he's. We saw in the opening he was prone to, he's definitely in the doghouse, and I get that, but she's just,
Laura Dern is basically playing like the Star Wars equivalent to a soccer mom, and I kind of like that.
Yeah, but it's the execution of that just
feels. Luke Skywalker, we'll get to this, but Luke Skywalker is basically playing the Star Wars equivalent to like a protective parent.
Well, in one scene, really.
In one scene, yes, in one scene, but still.
In one scene, he feels like the protective parent. In this scene, she's. I don't know. I feel like I get what they're going for.
She's the overbearing soccer mom, Dragon. She's trying to teach her rebellious teenage son figure a lesson.
I gotta tell you, you're gonna hate me for saying this, but I get that she really came. I'm just saying, with the Rian Johnson of it all, she did come across as Skylar White in this movie for me.
I can take that. I can take that.
Because again, again, similar to Skylar White, I bring this up because again, I get what they're going for, but I just think the executions of her story is way off here. It's just where explain it would just keep him in the loop, would just subvert like the mutiny and all the other stuff that follows. It just feels pointless, and I don't really get her. That's the thing. She's not bad, it's just I don't get it with her. Mm-hmm. However, and here's the reason she'll never go away, folks. For the people like myself who aren't really wowed by her, she won't go away.
Because never go away. She'll always be here. Because
she had one of the most dazzling moments in the movie. That's why she won't go away.
No. She had one of the most dazzling moments in all of Star Wars, Dragon.
That's the thing. She had one of those hugely dazzling moments. Of course, she had the light speed sacrifice.
Oh man, I mean, this is just Rian Johnson's visual style at its finest.
It is. So again, light speed sacrifice is our take on it. It's.
Of course, you said this, but I love it's the way that all three storylines in the movie converge.
Yeah, it's like that. I can't get over. I just love that. I love how they're all everyone's kind of we have like these heated moments that are going on all three stories and just like converge and then silence.
Now that I think about it, Dragon, that is also a very Breaking Bad-esque way to tell a story. Like building up multiple storylines into one big moment. It's almost kind of like 747 Down over Albuquerque-esque.
Yeah, something like I get it. Yeah, kind of the crossover of the story. Mm-hmm. I can see that. So again, of course, the silence of space is just eerie, especially in Star Wars, because usually we have all sorts of noises and stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah, just the way that the flash, the slow motion of it all, just very striking stuff. Okay, so speaking of Luke Skywalker being the protective father, I'm sorry.
Okay, here's the other thing we got to talk about that scene. Yeah. Again, it's been brought up to me. This is kind of makes the Laura Dern thing just makes me easily kind of roll over on her. And this is that. Yeah, I mean, we just kind of killed off Admiral Akbar in the Leia scene earlier. When the big kind of Kylo Ren's assault scene, and we just kind of kill off these other characters. And it just feels like we could have had this huge momentous Star Wars moment with again, it would have been a way to kill off Leia. I get they wanted to have a scene between Leia and Luke, so that's why they didn't kill off Leia. But it would have been a good out for them if they wanted, like, hey, you thought you were
so obsessed with killing Leia early in the movie.
I'm not obsessed with killing her early in the movie. What I'm saying is, if to keep her around for this, I'm saying they give her one of the single most dazzling moments in Star Wars.
Okay, well, Dragon, to be fair, it's not as if they knew that Carrie Fisher was going to die. So they're like, hey, Carrie, just in case, let's shoot the scene, but with you.
Okay, but less, again, Leia's just an example. Again, the main thing, I mean, come on, if we just kill off Admiral Akbar like that, we couldn't...
I agree. How epic would it be if Admiral Akbar is like, I'll show you a trap?
That's the thing, like Admiral Akbar Nimnum, like the pilot who blew up the second Death Star. That's what I'm saying. Give one of those guys just got killed off like this. Give them the big moment. Of course, this is silly. That's what I've been saying about Akbar. Imagine this, he had like a ridiculous line, but again, a heartfelt, ridiculous line, like it's a rescue. That closes his eyes. He basically says he's looking there, he's looking all the time and stuff, and like like Leia or someone say, Admiral, what are you doing, Admiral? He just closes his eyes. It's a rescue. And then, of course, close his eyes and those lights right into the...
Oh my god, that's great.
I would have easily put Akbar instead of the Laura Dern. We don't need the Laura Dern character if we gave Akbar the sacrifice, to be quite honest.
All right.
Anyway.
Well, I saw that Ben Solo kid talking with my daughter figure, and I just wanted to kill him all over again, Dragon.
I've watched girls. I don't trust you with her.
God.
I have HBO.
Okay. So, yeah, the Force stuff. I really do like it quite a bit, Dragon.
Yeah, I mean, they have a
really more on a rewatch. I'll say that much. I think it builds up everything really well.
Well, the thing I love most with these conversations we have throughout the film, I love how they're shot. I love how the editing. Basically, I love how it's done through a dialogue. We don't even need to see it from their perspectives. We just kind of like, they're just kind of talking off to the side with someone we're not seeing. We're cross-cutting it between Rey seeing Kylo and then Kylo's side of the scene elsewhere, and we establish that Kylo can't see everything on that she on her side of the scene, but she can see everything on his side of the scene. It's like, again, I love it's suggesting kind of degrees of the Force, and we know Rey she's more in tune with the Force and she's more kind of proficient in the Force than Kylo. And just, again, I like that kind of that tension that's built within the scene already within these conversations of like, oh god, he could be lying. Is he? Maybe he's lying. He's not seeing everything. Of course, the whole Luke factor within these scenes. Again, it's a good device.
I also like how it affects the real world, like how like when she first sees Kylo, she does the blaster and it blasts through the wall.
Yeah, it's great.
And of course, really quick, Drake, what do you think of the elders in this movie? Because everyone's talking about but everyone's talking about the porgs, but I really like the elders.
Oh yeah, they were nice. I like them.
I mean, I thought they had some really great comedic moments, where they're just running around trying to preserve all this Jedi stuff, and then, like, Rey's training, like, rocks are falling on them. And, it was good stuff.
Effing Jedi, little effing Padawan. Effing Padawans.
All right.
But, I mean, yeah, so, I mean, I like what's really strengthening, Rey and Kylo Ren, because they get a lot of development in this movie, which is really warranted and really necessary and really great with them. I love that, he wins her over with the offer of clarity and answers. Like, he's offering her kind of the direct approach. And, of course, this leads her down and she starts down the path of the dark side. And again, what they're kind of learning together is that, these are just labels. They aren't really, dark side, light side. Again, I'm providing you answers. And however, in the pursuit of that, she finds when she goes down the dark hole, let's say, she gets her tangible results, which the dark side does offer. I think it shows the dark side offers tangible results, but in the end, it's kind of like a cold reveal. She's in the dark cave, and it's all cold, and just kind of the callous reveal that, no, your parents were nobody.
Yeah.
So how do you feel with the parents thing? I guess we should talk about that here.
Yeah, I guess we should. I love it. I frankly, I don't think it could have gone any other way, because it's just a way to kind of, everyone complains about the Star Wars universe. Like how could it be like so limited where everyone that matters is either a Kenobi or a Solo or a Skywalker? And it's like, well, this is the answer. So why are you complaining about it all of a sudden?
I love how it's shot, Tiki. I love how they visually demonstrate that her parents, her parents were no one, because she walks up with that like infinite Rey shot, which is just cool.
Mm-hmm.
Then she just walks up to it, and again the cold and callous kind of like ice mirror, and she just discovers that it's like those two shadowy figures. They're her. It's very much kind of Luke going down the. It's Luke and Dagobah kind of going through like the little cave and just kind of having the realization that he is his father, and Luke, if basically the Jedi is their parent, then Luke is just
By the way,
Rey.
I totally called Rey having a Dagobah moment. I just
want
to give myself credit.
Oh yeah, you're right. I forgot about that. Yeah, yeah, good for you.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's visually very well told that her parents, they are that's her. She's like her parents that do not matter. And again, what I like with Rey and Kylo is kind of bridging off that. Again, he gave her tangible answers, so therefore she is very much kind of indebted to Kylo Ren in that way. But at the same time, she's they're both they're their arc is like, he's not good enough, and she's and she doesn't matter. That's the thing. That's kind of the arcs that they kind of learned that no matter what Kylo Ren does, he will never be good enough. He killed his father, and Snoke is just still not. He's not accepting him. He's still saying you got some light, and yet you had to go that far. And with Rey, it's like she thinks she matters. She thinks she has like a place in her. She thinks she's still holding that hopes for her parents, and she just needs direction, and she's not getting that. She's not. She's being treated like she doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
So, and of course, I think it's going to boil down to a question, what they're going to do with that. And we'll get there when we get to like a bigger moment with these two. But also, real quick, a little fleeting moment, just still kind of leaving my head scratched. The shirtless moment's kind of weird.
Meh, I'm fine with it because I think it fits the tone of the rest of the movie.
I don't know how official this is, but I heard like someone kind of connect the dots on this, that it's connecting to in Revenge of the Sith, where when Anakin's shirtless a lot in that movie. That's kind of what they were connecting it to. Yeah. Some people say it suggests like a possible romance. I mean, do you think there's any hope?
You know what? If they do go down that route, I honestly wouldn't mind, especially if it means like, to tell you the truth, Dragon, I think a ballsy direction to go with it is that at the end of episode 9, things aren't wrapped up and Rey maybe even joins Kylo's side. I don't know. We'll see. But this movie kind of opens up a lot of possibilities with that.
Here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say this. I don't expect it, but I would be very impressed if they can pull it off. Okay, because again, the man killed Han Solo, so that's the thing. I'll be impressed if they can pull it off.
All right.
What's up at the
okay, so let's talk about that Solo kid that I just wanted to kill so badly, Dragon.
I just wanted to slice and dice his little neck off.
All right, so first flashbacks in the Star Wars movie, and I think it works out surprisingly well, surprisingly naturally.
Oh yeah, it's a clever first use of the flashback. It's very well directed. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, you've seen it more times than I. Are there 3 or 2 flashbacks?
There are. You know what, Dragon? I actually think there's 3, because there's one from Luke's perspective, one from Kylo's perspective, and then the one that's kind of like Luke sort of filling in the blanks on everything.
That's what I thought. Okay, I guess that's the version I had kind of noted down here. All right. So, I mean, yeah, basically the way we see this, we see kind of, it looks like Luke kind of created Kylo based on those Jedi mistakes. So, like, okay, I guess sense of evil in this kid, I'm going to end him. Then, of course, from Kylo's perspective, he's learning that, we learned
Kylo's perspective is basically the evil Luke Skywalker that we've been joking about.
Yes, and again, so it's a haunting shot. Again, I love this shot, and of course, I love the dimension we just keep adding with this shot. And as Tiki has kind of said to me before, it's the most kind of Rian Johnson kind of shot of it all. It's
the most Breaking Bad style thing in this movie, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's this great thing. We take this really haunting, awesome still image of Luke looking like basically holding the green lightsaber. We all remember from Return of the Jedi, which I love that we got it in there, by the way. Luke, a vaguely younger Luke, with the green lightsaber at like.
He's kind of like I feel like Luke is in this moment. He's sort of like the same age that I imagine Obi-Wan would be if we ever got that Ewan McGregor or Obi-Wan spinoff.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Anyways.
Anyway, like if I were a betting man, I want to say this is. I want to say this. Maybe this is like a 20 out of the 30-year Luke. I want to say this is like the flashback Luke is like 20 years old, and then the Luke we have now is 30 years old. And 30 years past when we last saw him.
I was a spry 20-year-old man when I wanted to kill Ben Solo. All right.
You know what I mean.
Yeah, I know.
So yes, of course we learned that it might have been more justified, and then we get to, of course, the ultimate reveal, which is the most interesting. The reveal that we learn that Luke, as he explains to Rey in the rain, it's a beautiful little scene where he explains to her, and we get that. Like, I love it. It's just like adds a little bit to that scene, adds like this little detail, and again, if consequences are a recurring theme in this movie, this is where it all comes to. This is where it all kind of stems from. It's the ultimate reveal that Luke considered ending Ben. After Snoke got to him, after Snoke was getting to him, and he's seen this happen before, and he considered, he being the trusted mentor, the trusted uncle, he was going to end a member of his family, and again, it's like a persistent thing we've seen with Luke and Vader in Return of the Jedi. So like there's some connective kind of history repeating itself in there. but he's horrified by he relents. But in that moment, though, with that lightsaber extend, we get to see from that perspective Kylo Ren, just that haunting shot of like Luke Skywalker looking like he's about to take care of business with that lightsaber among like this youth beneath his feet.
And Dragon, that one shot to me kind of like explains everything we need to know about why Kylo Ren is as messed up as he is mentally.
And honestly, that's my favorite shot of the movie. That one right there. So
I can't say I blame you. It's pretty good. It's pretty fantastic.
And again, just then the horrified nephew and the betrayal on Adam Driver's face in the scene there, and of course followed by that again, that moment of Ben, no, as Kylo brings the whole.
Oh God, Ben, no!
Just brings the whole tent down there, and just it had so much. Again, additional character. We get to see what made Luke so grumpy. Like the fact that Luke, he tried getting the Jedi off the ground again. He tried to echoing the old teachings. This was a Luke who was he was enfranchised in the Force. This is a guy who was going to perpetuate the lessons that he learned, the honor he learned at Obi-Wan's hand for that first time. This is Luke. He just. He failed as a master. He exiled himself like Obi-Wan. I love this, that he did exactly what Obi-Wan did after, what happened with Anakin transpired. And eventually, he did exile himself, but the problem is, he exiled himself after creating another Vader's, realizing what he's fallen. He's done exactly what Obi-Wan did, and it's just. Basically, in creating a Vader who literally wiped out, again, history repeating itself in such a haunting way. Like, he killed half the Jedi students, he killed half the other Padawans, and then took the other half and made the Knights of Ren with them. And that's the fact that Luke Skywalker ended the Jedi himself there and just been haunted. And then in the time since he's...
talk about the Knights of Ren, Dragon?
What do you want to do with Knights of Ren?
I just want to briefly address, I feel like people are criticizing that this movie doesn't have them, but... Honestly, to tell you the truth, I feel like we're building to the Knights of Ren. I feel my prediction for it is that we're going to start episode 9 several years down the road, and the Knights of Ren are basically going to be like Kylo Ren's army that they're going to have to go through.
Well, yeah, I assume that's the Knights of Ren are going to be the big villain of 9.
All right.
Just again the whole sequence, just that whole that fleeting moment of just that's what's haunting Luke, and I love that being the main motivation, what gets us.
Like I said, it's very much in the Breaking Bad mindset of one moment can change everything.
Exactly, and just that hesitation is just so fantastic. And anyway, the fact he's cut himself off from the Force, mulling over the flawed Jedi system, he's becoming worse and worse, and he's put himself to a place where he's waiting to die on that island. That is. Oh man, it's fascinating stuff, and some of this is the reason, why The Last Jedi is one of the best movies this year. This is the kind of stuff we're talking about here, folks.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And again, he's put himself, he wants to end the Jedi with himself on an island of relics. It's like an island of Jedi relics, which he equates himself to now, which is great. Mm-hmm. All right. Speaking of Jedi relics,
yeah.
Let's talk about
Yoda, Puppet Yoda,
yeah!
Puppet Yoda.
To me, it's after that really dark, awesome, innovative sequence, we have kind of the ultimate pick-me-up, and hey, folks, it's Yoda. Not only is it Yoda, it's Puppet Yoda.
It's in Dragon, just the Yoda characterization in the scene is so on point, especially because I've got to say, I'm not a fan of how Yoda was handled in the prequels. I'm really not, just overall. Just as a whole, I feel like Yoda, he had cool moments, but just the writing on him in general was a little bit botched. So it's so nice to see Yoda. I love how he's just he's consistently just giving Luke a hard time and bashing him over the head. And, we get the same kind of physical comedy that we got in Empire, and it's wonderful.
It just, again, it takes you back to Empire in just the perfect way, and he looks great.
Nerds, they are not.
I love that line so much. Just summarizes what the issue is with it. Again, basically, it doesn't matter what's in the book. It's just about what you feel, what your experience is with the Force. Books, it doesn't really matter. And again, the books are, from what I hear, the theories. Again, T, you saw it a few times. What happened with the books again? Did Rey got her hands on the books, right?
Dragon, I've only seen it twice, and honestly, I don't remember seeing the books after Yoda lights the hut on fire.
Because I keep hearing that Ray somehow got the books, but I can't for the life of me remember where I saw them.
I mean, you know, I've heard that theory too, but I like don't look to me because I wouldn't know.
Well, the point is, even if the book's made, the point is they don't matter, and I like that. That's established with Yoda there, and the fact that again, it's and yeah, again, Yoda's wisdom is right on point, and again, it's an even wiser Yoda, who, from all I remember, I don't think he does the backwards speak anymore.
Well, page turners, they are not.
All right, sorry, yeah, okay, never mind. Let me redact the point I just made, folks. Regardless, it's wiser Yoda, kind of, who again through Luke is just explaining, failure is the best teacher. Again, we keep failing our students, and then they'll learn from this, and they'll eventually fail the next generation of students. It's the way it goes. And again, it's love has represented by Luke improving upon the Jedi teachings in a way, realizing that, hey, we went to Luke. Luke still, he kind of screwed up with Ben, but at the same time, though, he did realize, yeah, the Jedi way was flawed, and it's kind of deserted that old way of life needs to end, so we can kind of embrace a new way of life. And the ultimate lesson demonstrated through
Force Ghost lightning powers.
Yeah, right. so yeah.
I have my theories, Dragon. I think this is going to come back big time in episode 9. I really do.
Yeah, so the lightning, it's shown the Force is full of surprises. To put it simply, that's really what the lightning demonstrates, along with what we saw with Leia earlier on. I mean, the Force, and I love that we had that line earlier on in the training sequence that said, the Force is more than just lifting some rocks. It's more than floating rocks.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's true. We get to see that all over the place. We get to see the Force used in unimaginable ways, and it's awesome. So if anyone has a problem with that, I mean, come on. If the Force is something more than just moving rocks, you just didn't want to admit it.
So my theory with this is, Dragon, I think we're going to see a Force Ghost army. Maybe not in episode 9, but at some point. We're going to see Obi-Wan and Luke Skywalker and, and maybe Hayden Christensen, Anakin Skywalker, Yoda. We're going to get the whole crew back together to kick some ass as Force Ghosts. It's going to be like the Avengers of Force Ghosts.
I'll say, team, I'm going to meet you in the middle. I'm going to say this. I don't think we're going to have a battle with the Force Ghosts, but I do think we're going to see more than 3 Force Ghosts. I think we're going to have multiple Force Ghosts.
Okay. I'm just picturing it like I know you're not a Lord of the Rings guy, but there's a moment where Aragorn leads a whole ghost army into battle. I'm picturing something like that.
All right. All right.
All right, what's next?
All right, let's see. Let's talk about Phasma.
Oh, boy. I mean, what is there to really say? It's like, hey, guys, we're going to really do something with her this time. Yes. She's not going to get, even less screen time in this movie than she got in the last movie. All
right, look, so Phasma, it's cool to have Phasma battle Finn. It was a good fight between them. I mean, that was cool. And I like that Finn kind of has, a continuing enemy in Phasma. And she, she looked great. The whole blast deflecting armor, that was awesome. But the problem, of course, we're really referring to is that we potentially wasted Phasma completely. This is kind of an FU JJ moment. This is
an hour and a half into the movie. I was like, where the hell is Phasma? Seriously? Did they just write her out completely or what?
I mean, a part of me wonders if it's a meta gag. I mean, again, it'll depend if she shows up again. Here's the thing: I'm holding out hopes that this is not the. I'm very optimistic that she's alive. I mean,
Dragon microphone.
Hello.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead. You're good.
I'm very optimistic that Phasma's alive. I really hope so. And this might just be a running gag where for the time being until we get to a really big Phasma thing in the third one, possibly.
Right.
Hey, yeah, we heard what you said, and we took her out again. Or it could be an FUJJ moment. You don't know. I'm just saying, again, I think Phasma was cool while we saw her there, but again, we're still not... again, Phasma, she still shows potential, but we got to get more of her, darn it. And I'm hoping I'm really hoping she's alive.
To me, it just doesn't make sense that she wouldn't be with the First Order during the whole chase. You know what I mean? Just have her be part of that action and you're fine. It solves the whole problem.
Right.
All right. Okay, what now?
Snoke.
Okay, so Dragon, this is the big fuck you JJ moment that I'm convinced JJ absolutely intended this to happen from The Force Awakens. I'm absolutely convinced.
So you think it was part of the plan?
I definitely think this is a classic J.J. Abrams magic box misdirection. It feels like a J.J. Abrams misdirection.
Okay.
And I love it, Dragon. I like, first of all, just inherently the killing off Snoke is the misdirection for me. But I love this moment because it has so many layers than just killing off Snoke. I love it because inherently, Dragon, this doesn't just kill off Snoke. This kills off the whole idea of Star Wars having to just be the, the rule of two, the light side and the dark side. In one moment, Dragon, in one fleeting moment in this movie, we get that heart-pounding moment of Kylo just slicing Snoke and the implications of that.
That is in half, so in half, so like the two sides don't matter.
Right, and the Crayola guys rushing towards Kylo and Rey and Kylo having to work in tandem with each other. And in that moment, Dragon, that was like, to me, Dragon, I feel like that was probably the closest thing that I had to a Luke, I am your father moment in Star Wars, personally. Because, I'm sorry.
I was going to say, yeah, go on.
Yeah, because, it was just it was the ultimate, like, oh my God, what the hell is going to happen now? I have no idea. Like, this just blew the lid off of the whole franchise.
Yeah, you've never seen, the kind of the blue and red lights there, the Jedi and Sith side of the lights, of our lights, your light side, dark side, kind of fight back to back alongside each other. That just shows you the rules are kind of out the window at that point visually with that. And also, by the way, folks, when we say Crayola guys, we mean the Imperial Guards. Just want to clarify. That's our nickname for them. That's our ever-present nickname for those guys. But yeah, the killing off Snoke, it's gutsy. It's a cool way that he dies. Again, I agree emphatically with everything Tiki just said about it. It feels very much like a Pixar matchstick moment, like a moment.
Oh yeah.
What's going to happen, and of course, it's a complete subversion. It really feels like it's like the parents. It's sort of a MacGuffin to get Kylo and Rey on the same side there, and. It is saying, I mean, it's kind of the ultimate symbol of like, hey, you think you know what's going to happen with, okay, it's like the Emperor, it's very much like the Emperor scene from Return of the Jedi. Nope, we killed him off like that. And we're fighting alongside each other. It's, I think what's great about it, and I got a theory about, when we get to some vague speculation towards the end, I'll get a little bit more into that. Let's just say right now, what I like about Snoke and why I really think the death is warranted, why I don't have a problem with it at all, is that he is a false master. The one thing I heard gleaned from Snoke that we do know is that he was a fanboy of Darth Vader. I think we got that at the opening of this movie. He was very much a fan of Darth Vader, and that's why he mocks Kylo Ren a lot of the time for trying to pretend to be Vader. Mm-hmm. And with that notion in place, and what I liked about Snoke and what I liked that paid off here, the reason for Kylo turning on Snoke is, again, he killed his father for Snoke, and Snoke still wasn't happy, and Snoke, he keeps mistreating Kylo Ren, and we had that moment where in this scene where Snoke reveals, oh yes, I did like little links so you guys could talk to each other, ha ha ha.
God, I love that, Dragon, and on a rewatch, it just makes all the forced conversations between Rey and Kylo that much more compelling.
Yeah, and again, that's the stuff that kind of adds a little bit more dimension to Snoke, and also it just shows you the faith that he did not have in Kylo Ren. It's like, I know my guy's got a weakness. I'm going to use that to my advantage instead of just telling him to be, helping him be stronger. I'm going to tell him again. He tells Kylo what to do. He doesn't help him do anything. And again, the point is, this guy, he is, he's a false master who is trying to build a false empire with a false Darth Vader. His death reflects that. His death reflects, we're. I think his death reflects that, and also just shows you it makes sense for Kylo to kill his past, like kill Snoke, who was kind of a big element that really ruined his relationship with Luke and ruined everything. So Snoke is a representation of his past, and why Kylo is all gun ho about killing the past.
Yeah. All right, and then the offer with Rey. Then, how do you feel about that?
Of course, the team up we already talked about. So it's awesome, and it's it's a different type of lightsaber. But yeah, the offer itself. The offer boils down to, I think fundamentally it boils down to the thing I was kind of laying out earlier, is that it boils down to Ben is unable to move past his past trauma and just being a failure in the eyes of many people. Where Rey, she's disappointed by her findings that, she is, she's a prodigy who she is the Force prodigy here. Where she is, she's very adept with lightsabers. She's very, she's on her way to being really in tune with the Force, and she has her disappointments in life where her parents weren't anything of note, and they just abandoned her. There's Junkers who abandoned her, and with the life's disappointment, with her trauma, she can move past it, and that's what she does. She can move forward where Kylo Ren isn't. It's kind of the ultimate. It's very simply kind of the Return of the Jedi thing, where it's. She isn't it's revenge versus return. That's kind of what it boils down to. Like she's willing, she's return, and it's like the big name change from Return of the Jedi. It was originally Revenge of the Jedi, and they changed it to Return because the Jedi does not seek revenge. And while the roles of light side and dark side are kind of thrown out the window in this, at least it's intimated that we're going that way, and I like that idea. That's what I was going into the movie hoping for. So I mean, I'm happy if they're still going that direction. The point is, I think that's why Rey doesn't just instantly sign up with Kylo Ren. That's why they're tearing apart the lightsaber. They're tearing apart, importantly, the one of the single most important lightsabers in Star Wars. They're breaking it in two, just showing that again the light side, dark side's out the window at that point. They're both fighting over the past, and I think Kylo has a point that the past it's holding less and less water as we're moving forward in Star Wars. It is. So we got to move forward. We got to go original. We got to go in the more original direction. We got to break new ground. And again, I think destroying that lightsaber kind of speaks a lot to that.
That's the thing, Dragon, because my big complaint with The Force Awakens, look, this movie does make me like The Force Awakens considerably more than I did in the past. But still, my big complaint with The Force Awakens is that, a lot of it felt like these new characters who were very likable were essentially kind of playing avatars of more familiar Star Wars characters.
Honestly,
whereas this movie, it fully fleshes out. It's like, okay, no, these are the characters in the more well-developed, in the most pure form. This is what we have going forward, and they're really fleshed out.
I mean, it honestly feels like, again, that tug of war, that visual tug of war is kind of over, how different a direction they want to go in. She wants to go in a direction that's still in service of the old direction, which is kind of like what we're all going into this movie expecting. And Kylo Ren wants to go the radically different direction, as we saw. Right. So that's kind of what that tug of war is all about. And in the end, they broke it off. They kind of, it's unrecognized. The original is now unrecognizable, but it's still a lightsaber at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
So again, that's kind of where we leave them with the offer there. Of course, very much interrupted by the giant, awesome light speed, separation. Anyway, that's all there.
All right, so let's get to Crate. So, do you want to briefly talk about the Resistance stuff before we get into Luke?
I feel we lump that in the visuals, sure, yeah.
Okay. So, first of all, I do like how this is kind of calling back to locations in The Force Awakens too.
Yeah.
And also, of course, I like the kind of the mirror image of Empire Strikes Back, where this is kind of like the big, the Empire's cornered the Resistance, and we've got the AT-ATs and, everything. And instead of being at the beginning of the movie, it's at the end of the movie. It's like poetry, Dragon. It rhymes.
What's cool, speaking of that, is that they kind of also pull kind of Return of the Jedi reference here, and that everyone, of course, nowadays these issues are sparse and still very minimal. We just kind of easily forgave it compared to what the prequels gave us. But the old the Ewoks. Remember, the Ewoks were a big deal, and it was, oh man, how could Ewoks defeat the Empire? How could they do that? In this case, we have a cool low tech, the Resistance with really low tech stuff versus the First Order with kind of the high end stuff. They have a cannon for a Death Star at their disposal.
Mm-hmm.
Which I really like that, by the way. Honestly, in retrospect, I would have really liked something like that more than the. I don't know how it would have worked. I'm just saying I like that sort of science more than the whole than the Starkiller base. If I'm being honest, man,
Starkiller base continues to be probably the single biggest problem I have with The Force Awakens. The
Starkiller base doesn't bother me that much. I'm just saying I love kind of pulling the gadgetry from the old Star Wars movies, and I was using the base of the cannon part of the Death Star. It doesn't work the same way, but it's it's still pulling a piece from the old stuff and using it in a new way.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that approach more than doing something kind of okay, we know exactly what this is doing.
Sure.
Anyway, so again, it's the whole low-tech versus high-tech element of this battle is really cool. The visuals, the sand with the red dust, it's amazing.
Oh yeah, that was inspired.
Oh yeah, and the speeders versus the new kind of gorilla-like AT-ATs.
Right.
It's awesome. So again, that whole sequence really, really cool looking sequence there.
Okay, and then Luke comes back.
Yes, Luke returns, and again, the ultimate morale booster. Oh my God, it's Luke Skywalker. And he looks like he's 10 years younger. Look at him.
Dragon, oh god, the moment between Luke and Leia, especially on a rewatch, just that was definitely a tearjerker. That was definitely a moment that got to me emotionally.
It's the one scene they have together, and it's a good one.
Oh, yeah, it's fantastic. It works in some great Carrie Fisher sass, like, I know what you're going to say. I changed my hair. Which, Dragon, that is totally what Leia would say to him. I love that. It's so in character. Because that's kind of the same banter that Luke and Leia always had with each other.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the, aren't you a little short for a stormtrooper kind of thing.
It is.
All right.
So, of course...
also, the C-3PO wink.
Well, yeah, the C-3PO wink is, it's just, I love it so...
Priceless.
Again, I love the interaction Luke has with these droids. Again, these droids are his pals. These are the guys that jumpstart the whole adventure. C-3PO, they're very pivotal, and just the fact that it tracks so well. And I'm not the first to say this, but it's so nice that the one character who was nicest to C-3PO in all of Star Wars, was nicest to him. It's Luke Skywalker, Master, and just honestly hearing Anthony Daniels.
Luke.
Just hearing him say Master Luke after all these years, that's really nice. And then just give him like a wink of like, you know what? It's like, he doesn't have like a whole.
Dragon, can we also just talk about, like, I feel like an underreported thing is just how good C-3PO's role in this movie is. He doesn't have a ton of screen time, but I feel like his arc is very fun because he's basically like, it's C-3PO thrown into a mutiny situation, which is something that he's never had to deal with before. And so I love that throughout the movie, he's like freaking out about protocol and, like going behind Holdo's back and everything. What do you think?
Yeah, like the whole the captain.
Honestly, I feel like that subplot is so fun and not enough people are talking about it.
No, that's fun. Like the whole captain, like the demotion semantics.
Right.
And it's like, oh, do I call you captain or doesn't Yeah. Also, again, with Luke's thing, I love that Luke, he's set up to do the impossible, to spark, the fire and save the resistance.
Sure.
Speaking of that,
yeah.
So we have this
versus Luke.
Yeah, but we also have this awesome, just kind of builds up to that. Luke facing down, that shot of Luke facing down the First Order with a lightsaber, just like he jested in the beginning. And I just love seeing that come to fruition. And we have that great line by Kylo Ren. So I gotta say a line, and we'll get right into it, because it's Kylo related. So that line, I want you to fire every gun we have on that man. I love that moment so much. It's like, it's all good. The build upon.
I can't say I blame the kid, because I did really, really, really want to kill him.
Oh, yes.
Anyways.
Okay, but again, just that moment in itself, just to set up the awesomeness of this battle, and then Kylo going down to deal with it himself. It's great. It's essentially what's so great about this fight, Tegan. I love we don't have any, and this shows you the mark of a good kind of new direction of Star Wars here, is that we have lightsaber fights, but they're not conventional they're different lightsaber fights than we've had before.
Yeah, for sure.
Because this one, what's so cool about this one, even though this is different for reasons we learn.
I feel like this is kind of like the evolution of the style of lightsaber fight that Darth Vader and Obi-Wan in Episode 4 was.
Which was the point I was about to make, and yes, you're right. Yes.
I'm sorry.
No, you're right. As you say, you kind of. Kind of took my Force lightning from it. Oh, it's the curse me. Technically, that was Force lightning. That's kind of cute. Anyway.
All right.
But yeah, it's Obi-Wan versus Vader, but with a new twist on it. That's kind of cool. It's intense. It's so intense without Luke having to strike him.
It literally has a strike me down and I shall become more powerful moment.
When he said that, I was on the edge of my seat saying, "Oh my god!" Again, it's so
because of course the great thing about that is that Luke was on the bridge observing that Obi-Wan fight in A New Hope.
I guess see that's the poetry stuff. It's a shame it's almost a shame George Lucas is gone now, because then we can't have actually say the poetry thing and make it count.
Right.
Yeah, but again, it's cool we have the reinvention we have on the line. Strike me, or I'll be with you always, just like your father. And I like how that transfers. That again, don't get me wrong, it's still obviously it's the same effect. The whole strike me down and become more powerful than you can possibly imagine, which is good foreshadow for what happens. But regardless, just that line, that reinvention is that hey, I will. Basically, if you take this action, you're never going to be happy. Like when you killed your father, you're never going to be happy if you try to strike me down.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it's him trying to mentor him, trying to make up for lost time and mentoring him with stuff like that. And I love the clever clues. That's the thing I can't get over with this scene. I love the clever clues that, he's not striking when you really look at it. He's not striking at all. And the fact, he looks he looks like the flashback Luke that we saw. And again, it's basically it looks. He's still old Luke, but at the same time, it's like he could have just gotten a shave and a haircut before he went. So it's like it's kind of
well, of course, I think there's two main clues here. There's of course the footprints, and then the fact that he's using the the green lightsaber.
Was using the blue lightsaber.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, the blue lightsaber.
And that's the thing, because while that scene was going on, I'm wondering to myself, that lightsaber was just destroyed. The whole thing of that symbolism between that lightsaber being destroyed. Like, yeah, that's not Anakin's lightsaber yet. Somehow it is. So I love the clues there in the ultimate reveal as like he's about to kind of cut him in half like he did Snoke. It's a fantastic reveal, and we'll get there. I'm jumping a little ahead with the Obi-Wan thing, but yeah, it's and of course there's that great final line, "See you around, kid," implying that he might. I think he knows that Kylo is going to follow Vader's path. Now that's a little tip of the hat to my speculation with Kylo, but I think him saying "See you around, kid" means he's going to see him as a Force ghost.
Oh, I'm sure we'll see him as a Force ghost in Episode 9. I
know Luke's going to be a Force. I'm saying I think Kylo might be a Force ghost. I think that's what he's alluding to.
Oh,
we'll see. Well, the point is, see you around. That'll be interesting.
Okay.
See that comes into play. Okay. Now, of course, there's the big yeah, there's the heart. There's the tearjerker, folks.
So Luke Skywalker, I'm sorry, title crawl. I'm sorry. I can't give you everything. Can't give you everything.
Can't give you the one thing you're asking for.
Right.
It's
so Luke Skywalker is dead.
He becomes one with the Force.
In a fucking beautiful and poetic way, Dragon.
Oh yeah, I mean it's such a beautiful
twin sons. This
scene is the Logan equivalent for for Luke Skywalker.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
It's such a beautiful ending for Luke with the binary sunset, and again, I love it. He kind of falls off his perch, and he kind of gets up there, and he's taking in the beauty. It's very much kind of like a Mike Ehrmantraut ending from Breaking Bad, to be quite honest.
Oh, I could see that. Yeah.
Again, with
the Breaking Bad tie-ins.
And he's using. It's basically the reason for this course. He used the Force to its full effect, which brought him. I love it using the Force to its full effect. Basically, using ways we never saw it before. Brings him to his end. It's again he's cut himself off to the Force for so long. It's like the shock of it and just the exertion of it after all these years. That's what does him. And again, like a guy who just kind of like removed himself from the thing he invested himself in so harshly. He's like in bringing himself back into that. That's what cost him his life. That's kind of poetic there. Mm-hmm. And again, I love that. It's by far
the most powerful use of the Force in the history of the galaxy, I think.
It is. And again, I love that we did that with the Force. And what we learned, and I think was really enforced with this ending, and kind of with the title itself, The Last Jedi, is that, it's, the Force is not exclusive to the Jedi. Now, we knew that. Again, it's like what we kind of had in 77, when, he's telling, Han Solo saying, "May the Force be with you." And people can believe in the Force, actually, being Jedis. It's that the Force is not exclusive to the Jedi, but at the same time, what he kind of was getting at in that battle with Kylo, as he mentioned to him, he's not going to be the last Jedi. And saying that, I know you were looking forward to that moment, by the way.
Oh yeah.
You were looking forward to say the last Jedi, and we finally said in the movie. The fact that he has faith in Rey, that Rey at the very least will be a Jedi who could pass it on better to other Jedis. Again, it doesn't even need to be a Jedi, just to have the
I love how he's just like he's tearing down Kylo on multiple levels. He's like. It kind of repeats the whole, what he says to Rey, but, everything you said is wrong. The war is just beginning. I am not the last Jedi, and hope lives today, or whatever. I forget the... Yeah,
well, him
go
just
ahead.
saying, him pulling hope, of course, a little new hope in there,
Of course, of course.
is going to be just the fact that he has faith in Rey to follow a better version of the path that Luke set out on. So again, that's kind of a nice little goodbye he has to Rey without actually saying goodbye to her.
Mhm.
Of course, he's going to probably be talking to her as casually as a Force ghost, but it's still that's the meaning behind it, and it's oh god, I love the way he goes out there. I like how when we mirror kind of the strike to Luke, though we do kind of mirror how Obi-Wan he goes out like Luke, like Yoda and Obi-Wan, where it's you disappear and the rope
Yeah,
goes down.
yeah.
It's in doing that, it's because again we always assume Luke.
And Snoke too, to a certain extent.
Well, no, I know. No, he's like actually cut through. What I'm saying is, people point this out. I think they're absolutely right. I think it's a brilliant kind of pull. Is that you go back to the original Star Wars, you see that Obi-Wan. You can make the argument Obi-Wan he gives himself to the Force before the before.
Oh,
the
you
blade
could make the argument for that, couldn't you? Huh, I never thought about it that way.
That's what I'm saying. Because you can look at it like right before he's struck down. He's one with the Force, very much like what Luke essentially did in the scene.
Mhm.
It's a poetic end that he goes out with that binary sunset again, knowing that he's not going to be the last Jedi. And just it's so beautiful, folks. You can move me to tears. We keep going. Let's move on.
All right, so I guess the only other thing to talk about is the ending then.
I love this ending so much, D. I'm going to go as far as to say this. I'm going to go as far as I know we got more Star Wars movies on the horizon, quite obviously, but honestly, this for me is a perfect ending to the Star Wars period for me. If I'm being honest, this is honestly a good final ending for Star Wars for me.
Yeah,
I just love that we go full circle. It feels like the ultimate kind of swan song to a Star Wars fan because it's Luke's story is being told in makeshift action figures. It's kind of homaging the Kenner toy line of Star Wars, but with the legend of Luke Skywalker going against the First Order. And again, we homage the binary sunset. It just feels like the snake eating its tail. This ending, the twin sun music being, the binary sunset being played in the score, as like a slave, kind of like kind of a slave worker for the Canto Blight that we saw earlier, kind of like Anakin Skywalker as a slave on Tatooine.
Greg, you know why I kind of begrudgingly with this scene, I kind of hold a slight grudge about it because you can't skip Canto By now because it ties into it.
At the same, technically, you could just not know. We don't have to go. It's just It could still be just a random kid though, and it'd be kind of cool though, regardless.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm still down for even if it's just a random kid. That just kind of gives it context. Even without that, it's just great to see this because again, it's the idea, the legend of Luke Skywalker in Star Wars just has kind of this war has just kind of spread across the galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's the idea that Luke was kind of going on about is that the Force is available to everyone. It's the kind of the deepest hope of anyone who's seen these films. When he kind of pulls the broom to him like a lightsaber for a moment there. It's that it signifies that collective love of Star Wars and how it's touched us. We've all had that moment where we act like we can wield the Force. In this case,
Sure.
you can use the Force, but not to an amazing extent. You can bring the broom closer to him and hold it like a lightsaber. Man, that's a perfect ending for me.
Yeah, no, I hear you. It works. And it works because it's also, it's very much, again, with the Rian Johnson element of it, it doesn't have to be focused entirely on the main characters for it to be really effective. You know what I mean? It kind of like pulls out, it kind of like gives like a wide angle lens of the Star Wars universe at the end.
Exactly.
All right, so Dragon, I gotta say, you're kind of like mentioning the speculation, but I'm kind of worried about it because you never mentioned it to me, and I honestly am not really prepared with speculation.
What are you talking about? It was in the thing. It's in the thing.
It's not in the thing. I'm looking at the thing right now.
I'm telling you, it's in the thing. You go back to the thing.
Oh, well, I didn't see it. I'm seeing it now, but I didn't see it earlier because it's hidden by show list.
Well, do you have any ideas you'd like to throw out?
I don't have a ton. That's the thing. I'm not really prepared. Like I said, the main thing is I definitely think the Knights of Ren are going to be kind of like the red shirt, kind of evil bad guys that we're going to have to face in episode 9.
Red shirt may not be the best comparison, but...
Well, I only say red shirt in that they're kind of, they're going to be disposable, I think.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'd like them not to be easily. I want them to be built up to, though. Like those are the big contenders to go up against. I'm not saying they're going to survive or anything. I'm just saying I want them to at least not be easily taken out.
Well, they're going to be the equivalent to the Crayola guys.
I'm hoping they're going to be a little bit more difficult than the Krill is. But yeah, they essentially befall the same fate of the Krill is.
Like I said, I definitely think we're going to get some Force Ghost action.
Sure. Let me say this. I think, again, I'm all for the, Knights of Ren have to be in episode 9. They got to be. Kylo bringing in
Lando also has to be in episode 9, I think.
That would be great, and I'm down for that too. But basically, with the Knights of Ren, I would like, and this would be, I think this would quail a lot of the Snoke. So I'm just given how much, kind of press the Snoke, all the Snoke complaints are getting. I would put this in there. One flashback scene, not to the same effective measure we had the flashback. The fact that flashback scenes are kind of now vaguely on the table. I'd like there to be just one scene of Snoke, giving the mission statement to the Knights of Ren, like one flashback to Snoke. Just kind of, that would give us all the answers we need on Snoke in like one.
But that would be haunting because the Knights of Ren would be a bunch of little kids at that point.
That's what I'm saying. We have like, a flashback to, him giving the mission statement to the Knights of Ren. Then we just basically we hauntingly cut from the end of that flashback to Kylo Ren in front of the full-grown Knights of Ren now.
Oh man, nice.
That's what I would do. If that'd be my way of handling the Snoke thing. That's the main thing. Getting out there.
Dragon, I think we need to have more Chewbacca in episode 9. I think Chewbacca got sidelined in this movie. Besides the one great moment where he he bursts in the door with Luke. Right at the beginning, like, Chewie, what are you doing here?
And he did have some poor comedy.
Well, speaking of which, I wouldn't be surprised if the Porgs are kind of like spread out, like they're on the first, the First Order ships now. It's kind of like a message about animal control. Like help control the pet population. I don't know. What do you think? I would be like, I'm kind of like,
I honestly just want to say a couple Porgs just are on the Millennium Falcon. And Chewie just kind of likes having them around, just keeps them around.
Right.
Just doesn't do anything. But like someone said, what are these things? All right, fine, just leave it be. But let's see. Yeah, with Chewie though, again, we definitely gotta have a scene between Chewie and Kylo Ren. We gotta have that in the last.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I still love that comic where it kind of adds context, suggesting that Chewie missed intentionally, so he didn't kill Kylo Ren, because he was that kid's uncle essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it'd be cool if we were in like the middle of the. I can imagine like us starting the next movie and a few years have passed, or whatever.
I definitely think we're gonna get flash forward. I'd be surprised if they didn't go that route.
But regardless, I kind of because we obviously homage kind of the structure of Empire in this movie. We subvert a lot of the time. The point is we homage. We've homaged the original trilogy within this franchise, and I would imagine we're a couple of years have passed, like Return of the Jedi, and maybe we're in the middle of an adventure with, and here's I'm going to throw you, Finn and Poe.
Well, Finn and Poe should have had an adventure this movie. That's what
I'm saying. I think we can make up for this. Let's have Finn and Poe adventure, and maybe bring.
I mean, you're like saying that as if it's like some big like idea, but it's like no, that's just how it should have been.
I'm just saying it'd be cool though. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, Finn and Poe on an adventure. Maybe we bring DJ into the mix as like one of the mission objectives, or perhaps here's what they could do. We have a Finn and Poe adventure, and we have Phasma at the top of it, kind of them contending with Phasma. Just say, okay, Phasma's in this movie, folks. Don't worry. And ultimately, what I really wanted to do with Phasma, I'd love to see. I want this moment with Phasma. I think this would be great, assuming she is not dead. With Phasma, I'd love a big scene where Phasma and Finn they show down yet again. We have this big moment with her, the coolest moment ever with Phasma. She removes her helmet, basically saying, "Oh yes, I remember you removed your helmet. I told you not to." Something basically not as clear cut as that, but it's like, hey, calls back to how Finn removed his helmet, and then she finally removes her helmet. We see like this nasty scar that she endured from the from the fire and everything, just showing like basically a big horror show, and she like. Gwendolyn Christie all cover up in scars and burns and stuff. And if she, again, I don't think she should.
Kind of a good subversion of what we expected Kylo Ren's face to look like.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying she needs to die, but if she did, regardless, what I kind of like to see ultimately with Finn in correlation with Phasma, honestly, I'd love to see if Finn could get his hands on some of Phasma's armor so we can kind of don, again, basically the redemption arc for the Stormtroopers, that he's a heroic version of a Stormtrooper with the blast-resistant armor.
Oh, I like that.
We kind of come full circle, I think that, again, he doesn't have to look exactly like a Stormtrooper. Basically, take a lot of the armor plating and just kind of apply it to himself.
Right.
Okay, last thing, I guess, is with important with Kylo. So it'd be nice to see a kind of a friendship develop with Ben and Rey, possibly, by the end. like throughout the film. I don't know, maybe because
I think we already kind of built to that. I think that's kind of already in play. Like, I think at the very least, Rey has sympathy for Ben.
In the end, what I expect for Kylo Ren in this one, I would expect Kylo to sacrifice himself in the end, kind of like Vader, which would end the First Order and possibly make him a Force ghost.
Yeah, you keep going on about that Force ghost thing. I'm not sure, and to tell you the truth, the character of Kylo Ren's so different for me that I'm not really sure if just a generic him sacrificing himself is going to be original enough. But we'll see. We'll see.
Well, I'll tell you what, whatever Force ghost thing we do, because I'm imagining, basically, imagine if we did this, regardless. Like, what if we were with a Force ghost when they passed away? Like, well, we kind of follow them into the afterlife, and we have like he makes peace with Luke in the afterlife.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
And even if we don't do that, what we could do in the same venue would be, if we did your thing, we just had a whole army. Basically, we had multiple Force ghosts, like a larger number of Force ghosts. It'd be kind of a cool scene. I don't know how they do it, but it'd be cool if we could have, Luke Skywalker have a scene with Anakin Skywalker. Not the Hayden Christensen version, but we could always write around that, just say, you control what you look like as a Force ghost.
Uh-huh.
But regardless, have a scene with like someone looking like the Sebastian Stan, not the the Sebastian Shaw version.
You're not the first person to make that mistake, Dragon. Don't worry. Yeah.
But seriously, though, we ever do young Luke, Sebastian Stan, folks.
Uh-huh.
Okay, anyways, the point of those are my speculations.
So, Dragon, what is your last word on The Last Jedi? What's your final thoughts?
Last Jedi, I'm surprised how divisive it is, but again, I at the end of the day, folks, I had a really good time with it. Again, just Mark Hamill, those moments we spoke of, those fantastic images. Again, just Mark Hamill's performance, that R2 scene that R2 scene and the flashback scene were always going to be my moments from this film that just kind of that dazzle me and make it. It's like, I don't care what anyone else says. I love this movie just for those reasons. And again, I think the whole movie, there's nothing bad in the movie. I don't think there's anything legitimately bad in the movie. Again, the Cannon Blight stuff's good, just easily axable from the movie. Everything else though is just certain things like Laura Dern. They still just like, we could have done that so better if we just had Akbar and just kind of axed her completely. But again, nothing bad. So it's at the end of the day, the Last Jedi. It met my expectations. It did very much meet my expectations. I had a good time with it. So I wouldn't put it in past the original trilogy. I'm sorry. I wouldn't. It doesn't knock out 5, 4, and 6 for me, but it's right after 6, like directly after 6. I think it beat all the other films we had with Rogue One and Force Awakens. Like, it's easily up there, and I don't know, maybe one of these days, maybe it could beat. It's close to beating Return of the Jedi. It's really close to beating it, but it's just the classic, Luke Vader showdown. That movie. It's kind of hard to kind of knock that one out. So it's up there. It's really good.
Yeah, and I had such an incredible in theater experience with this movie, Dragon. Just being so shocked by it because of how formulaic Force Awakens was. I'm one of those people where I did have a lot of problems with Force Awakens. I don't want to say I was underwhelmed by it, and I think this movie does make a lot of the character stuff in The Force Awakens retroactively better, but I definitely think this is going to be a movie much in the same vein as something like, The Empire Strikes Back, where when it first came out, people were mixed on it. People were like, well, that was a weird, that was a different tone. That introduced things that I didn't expect. That wasn't my Star Wars. And I really do think that, for me, it's already landed, but I really do hope that because honestly, the fan backlash, I really hope that it doesn't affect movies going forward. I hope that it's not sending the message to Lucasfilm, okay, fuck it. Just all we do is nostalgia now. We're just the nostalgia factory. Because this is the bold direction that we needed Star Wars to go, and I'm just hoping that it'll stick. All right. Any last words from evil Luke Skywalker, Dragon?
Ben, don't even think about it. I have a deposit on this, Huck. Don't even think about bringing it down on my head.